We have 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get the meeting started. I will be the mouthpiece today. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to recognize members of the City Council and the press that are in the audience with us today. And let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's take a moment for a private meditation or prayer. Thank you. The next agenda on the item is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting in February.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Noted it's unanimous. Thank you. At this time, we're going to have opportunity for public comment for those items not listed in sections 8. Is there anybody who just wants to make a general public comment at this time? I see no hands. Okay. Old business. Chuck, from the old business from last meeting on the changes to the sign ordinance, I believe what the City Council is going, they made some approvals for the short term, but their intent is to return the sign ordinance back to us for review, I believe next month. Is that correct? Okay. Is there any other old business? Okay. On to the new business for public hearing. Item Z25-1, rezoning. Applicant SEK Hushin LLC seeking to rezone from C2 General Commercial Highway Oriented District to C3 Commercial Motor Vehicle Services and Repair District. Portions of parcel 120013K and H01024D. Lots 11 and 12 per Town Center Marketplace preliminary plat, which is approved on 04/23/24. Lot 11 is 1.32 acres. Lot 12 is 1.06 acres. Lot 11, car wash. Lot 12, automotive services. Lots 11 and Lot 12 commencing at the metered intersection of the southerly right-of-way of Town Center Parkway, 60 feet right-of-way to the easterly right-of-way of Georgia Highway 53 right-of-way with varies. Is there anybody here who would like to speak on behalf of those projects? Please state your name, your address, and whether or not you are a citizen of the city.
Hello. All right. My name is Dyke Tarbin. I am with Southeastern Development, SEK Houston LLC. I am from Augusta, Georgia, and I'm not a citizen of Houston. Today we respectfully submit our intent to rezone these two parcels within the Kroger Marketplace development to the C3 Commercial District. One parcel will be developed for a car wash and the other for an oil change facility. This rezoning request aligns with the city's vision for growth and economic development. Both businesses will provide essential services to the community, enhancing the convenience and accessibility for local residents and visitors. These establishments will also contribute to the vibrancy of the Kroger Marketplace area by attracting more foot traffic, therefore supporting nearby retail businesses. These parcels will be located along the second row of the development fronting Peachtree Exchange Boulevard and not along Highway 53. This arrangement allows for a mix of uses that maximizes the potential for growth while maintaining space fronting Highway 53 for restaurants and other retail that will attract more visitors to the area. The development of these secondary parcels will provide essential services without competing with or detracting from restaurant and other retail users, while keeping spending in the city limits on your vehicle in the city limits. Thank you.
Is there anybody else speaking on behalf? Please.
Test, test. All right, I don't have prepared notes like you did, so I'm just going to speak right from the heart here.
If you
I'm
could-
Michael Beck. I'm from Houston. I live in Creekside Village, right here at the entrance of Houston. I can tell you, as the former president of our HOA and as someone who's been there for many years now, that everybody in that entire neighborhood has been opposed to this car wash being in that location instead of this new location down at Kroger. Honestly, as a business owner, I can tell you the car wash over there would be a terrible idea as far as the inflow and outflow of traffic, as far as it being right on the outskirts of the city in a residential area surrounded by schools and parks and stuff like that. It just doesn't fit. At a Kroger, people can get their car washed, they can go shopping, they can go do other things. I frequent the car wash at Hamilton Mill right there in front of the Walmart, so much so that they know me on a first name basis, I'm ashamed to admit. I drop my car off, I go inside Walmart, get some stuff, take my time. You don't want to have a car wash sitting in front of a bunch of townhouses and houses. Nobody's got anything to do. There's a daycare next door. There's little kids everywhere. Cars coming in and out of there. It takes us forever to get out of Creekside as it is. The addition of those townhouses, which aren't lived in yet, and then the addition to a possible daycare that I seem to remember being discussed, is fine. It fits the area. All those extra people coming in and out of Creekside, nobody's going to go to a car wash. The investors who are doing this, I think, kind of just took the first thing they could grab to put their car wash down. It's the big business right now. Car washes in storage units are the big profit businesses right now. So I think they kind of just jumped on the first thing they found. Makes zero sense for them. Makes complete sense for both the developer and for the community to be down there. You got shopping centers. You have multiple shopping centers coming soon. That throughput is going to be the major throughput for the city soon. Nobody's going to come down to this end of town for anything. Everybody's going to go down 332, Town Center, down by Crestwind, Twin Lakes. All of that's going to get developed. Having a car wash there makes total sense. Makes zero sense on this side of town.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else in favor? Anybody opposed or wish to speak opposed? Yep, yep.
Check. My name is Mike. I know a lot of guys. I know a lot of you here. Several of you guys are my customers. I run Hensley Automotive, which is just right down the road. We provide all of our, automotive services to all the residents in the area. We are a local 20-year plus business. Ken Hensley, I'm not sure a lot of people here knew him. He passed away. Unfortunately, he was definitely a great member to the community. He kind of passed his business along to me, and we try to run it as he would. We definitely faith-based and try to treat everybody right is our primary goal, and that's all we want. The car wash is a great idea. I think a car wash in the area would be good. To be honest with you, I wish someone would buy the car wash next to my shop and take care of that, because I think that would be a great location, just sitting there for the powers to be that could possibly put that in motion. We, as a service facility, we're local. Everybody lives in the community. I live in Gwinnett. Unfortunately, my plan is to move out to Houston here in the near future. My little girl's about to start school. Kind of a weird situation. We have a shop full of, great guys. Most of us, 4 of us that work there are veterans. I don't think so much of an oil change shop detracting from our business much. It would probably, be a little bit of growth. Competition's good, for everybody. We provide good service. I'm not too worried about losing service because of that. I do think it could detract a little bit from my business, a little bit. My biggest goal is to provide for my employees that work for us. That is the only thing I care about, and providing good service to the community, which we do for the city of Houston, city of Brazelton, Houston Police, Brazelton Police, all the local. Anybody here that knows us, we're just honest and fair. That's all we want to do. Whether this gets approved, I am not the voice of the people, just my 2 cents on the subject. I think a car wash, great, oil change shop, that maybe, I have very little experience with just your quick lubes other than the stuff that we see on a daily basis that customers have visited in the area that have brought their vehicles to us afterwards. That's all I can say. Car wash, great. I think it's a good idea for the area. There's a lot of people that live out here who need their car washed, and there's not too many options. 100% the community for that. Just my 2 cents, and everybody that knows us here from Hensley, we definitely try to treat everybody right. That's never going to change, regardless if the car oil change shop gets built or not. That's just my opinion. So that's all I have to say. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the Planning and Zoning Board about this? Okay, I will close the public comment and open it up to the board. I've got some questions, but yes, I'm sorry. And the city planner has recommended approval. I forgot to note that earlier, so.
Yes, I recommended approval of the rezonings. There are some possible conditions on the rezonings. One that I noted in my report is possibly extra care to ensure that there is a buffer to where you cannot see a lot of the activities from the townhomes that are not immediately behind these lots, but behind them with only a retention pond in between. There also may need to be further study on the potentially environmental impacts or the utility impact from the car wash, especially. That is one of the most water-intensive uses you could have. And those are things that you might want to consider. There also may want to be considerations to limiting the C3 uses to only the ones that are proposed, as opposed to allowing anything that is permitted inside of the C3 zoning. Just glancing down at the permitted use tables, something that would be permitted here would be a fuel tank cell facility. That would not be permitted in a C2 zoning, which is what it currently is. So there may want to be some sort of limits on the other C3 uses that we would allow.
I have a question for you. As far as the car wash, water is an issue for our towns, growing fast. Water is scarce, not scarce, but with the growth, with the upcoming growth, is going to be an important issue. Have you submitted, or do you know what the usage of water will be on a normal basis for the car wash?
I do not have that answer. This lot is currently under contract by a car wash user. I could get that info for you as soon as possible.
Well, I think it's important. Yeah.
From a
You want me to
city's
call 'em?
perspective,
Yeah.
from the city's perspective, we've already allocated that.
I missed that.
Sorry.
Is the wash system, is it a known system that has been, put in place in other places where data can be available?
Yeah, I guess it would be a belt-fed car wash, the ones you see nowadays. It's not like one where you pull up and you grab the hose and you do it yourself. It's one of those
I understand.
It'll be a well-run, well-taken care of car wash.
Well, I think with water being an issue, I'd like to see a little more data on how much water that thing's going to use.
Do you have any idea if it's going to be recycled water?
Yes, it will be.
So it'll be captured, filtered,
Mm-hmm.
treated on site?
The water capacity, because, correct me, it's on, correct? It's the car wash that was gonna be over here is now looking
Right.
at going over here.
Okay.
So the city, I think, as far as loading the system, has already been factored into with that approval.
Okay.
So it's not like we're adding additional capacity with a new car wash, if I'm
Right.
understanding it to be correct. So that capacity load of water, I think, has already been factored
Okay.
in our planning and zoning,
Got it.
in our, yeah.
So
let me understand this. The car wash that was approved, that's located to where we approved the child care center, that is that's the one we're talking about relocating? Or is this a different car wash?
Right, yeah. That's the one that's planning on relocating to our center.
So it would take all the pressure off over there and not upset Creekside either. It is a much better.
Okay, all right. I missed that if it
Yeah,
was
and
there.
the car wash down there will never be in existence again. Well, we can maybe put a condition or something, but
Yeah.
that's the intention, so.
Okay. All right. I had a couple questions, as always. So who will be the owner-operator of the or the automotive service? Quick oil change is what I'm assuming at this point.
It'll be Valvoline.
So some Valvoline quick oil changes also do automotive services. Is that not correct?
Correct, but I think the majority of their business is oil change, of course, and, well, I actually went to one the other day. They do a lot of cabin air filter replacement, but their main mantra is, 15 minutes in and you're done. It's not a full service, and all that.
Okay. Who will own the building and who will own the land that the building sits on? Will that be held by the
developer.
The developer, the building and the land?
Correct.
Okay. So when you have drainage ponds, whatever you want to call them, they tend to develop their own ecosystem after a while. You got turtles and birds and all those kinds. And in the event that we have a fire or something like that, where the fire department's got to come out and put out a fire, I'm concerned that those ponds would become filled with, hazardous waste, whatever the residue is off a fire department. Who does the Valvoline, or the developer, I guess in this case, what is the developer's plan to make sure that there is money set aside to clean up a hazardous waste issue? Or do you expect the city to have that burden on them, or is the city the first responder and then we have to go through a whole legal thing to get money out of the developer? That's a concern I have with those two ponds right behind those two facilities.
Trevor, do you think you'd answer? So this is Trevor Evans from Robertson Loy Roof. He is, RLR for short, is the engineer for this whole development. So.
Right. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but these are general questions that I'm concerned about.
No worries. The stormwater ponds are tied to a maintenance agreement that's owned by, I guess, the overall ownership is going to be shared throughout the whole community, and the burden of maintaining those ponds to the proper condition will be on the folks within that REA, within this shopping center.
Right, and I understand the maintenance. I'm just worried about the catastrophe where the oil shop goes on, catches fire, and Ben Stevens comes here with his brigade, and all of a sudden we have all this waste, contaminated oil-filled water in these ponds that are going to disrupt an ecosystem. Who cleans that up? Where's that money coming from? Are you depending on the city to foot that bill? Who does that? I want to know who does that.
I think it would still fall under the maintenance agreement for that pond to keep it in a good condition.
Okay.
Along the same line, for the oil change place, what do they do with the old oil? Is it going to be a tank buried? Is it going to be in an external tank?
There are no underground storage tanks.
They're going to be above ground, visible?
Well, I got actually an email on it today.
Okay.
They do not have underground storage tanks, USTs. All oil products are totally self-contained in the lower level of the facility and are transferred through a delivery system directly into the applicable delivery trucks. The trucks are not typical small quantity trucks and are not large semi-trucks. The oil used on site is a lubricant, not a fuel. Sprinkler or fire suppression systems are typically not required in our buildings. Each service center utilizes oil water separators to process water from floor drains and sinks prior to discharge to sanitary systems. Groundwater control systems are located outside the building to eliminate any service center materials from commingling with groundwater management systems.
Thank you.
Yep. Do you know what the timeline and what the schedule would be for the day you would break ground and they would be into operation, these facilities? And the reason I asked the question is that we've had this, car washes approved in years past, and we're still waiting for ground to be broken.
As of right now, I don't see an LDP being pulled probably this year. I'd say 26, 27.
At least we got a start date. Thank you for that. On question H of the application, there was a question, and I'm paraphrasing, maybe the city planner can help me if he finds it. It's something to the effect of what the impact is environmentally to your projects. And when I read the answer, I didn't get a yes or no, I didn't get a definitive answer. I got, we're going to apply with all the, we're going to, conform to all the requirements, but that didn't tell me what the impact was.
The question is whether the proposal would have an impact on the environment, including but not limited to drainage, soil erosion, sedimentation, flooding, air quality, and water quality.
This be for both users?
Yeah.
I guess that's on them, part of the diligence period. And I think when they would go through permitting with the city, if this were an approved use, they would be required to give you all that information.
Okay. And then the next thing I have is just a comment. So as a reading through the city ordinances, and I know that they're dated and the city has grown, but it talks about automotive services being in an industrial area of the city. And I don't think, in my mind, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, Kroger's is more of a retail. So I don't know if what should have been in here was also asking for an exception to that. And I understand that it was probably granted a waiver of some type for the gas station, because I'm assuming the gas station comes in as a motor services. Not that an error that may have been made for that gas station is repeatable, but I certainly want to, at least the planning zoning board to, I looked and I don't see, and maybe you can help me out, I don't see within the city areas that are designated as industrial versus retail, other than what's in the code. But I looked and I can't see an industrial section in the city unless I'm missing it somewhere. And if we do approve this, we are, by approving it, I guess we're implying that there's a waiver to the locations of these motor services going into a retail site, when what we have in the city ordinance says should be an industrial site.
So just to clarify, what ACE is referencing, what Commissioner Acevedo is referencing there is section 4.12 of the zoning ordinance. There's a sentence in the section on purpose and intent that says C3 zoning districts are intended to be located near, adjacent, or within industrial areas. There are already C3 uses in the Kroger development. The fuel pumps and the service station right there is a C3 use. On where there are industrial areas, that would be further down, sort of where the old car wash is over there, Amy Industrial, Nancy Industrial, Pearl, right down through there. Those are the majority of the M1 zonings within the city.
So we would be, by approving, we're implying that they have a waiver to that, to go to a retail location versus an industrial location.
Or ACE, it could be considered spot zoning. You're taking something and putting an unapproved use in a place where it shouldn't be approved.
Which I'm not opposed to it at all. I just want to make sure we understand what we're doing. I don't want to, somebody to come in there and say, now I want to put a transmission shop in there because you already got services and they're industrial.
I may have some insight on that when we open this up too, talking about it amongst ourselves.
Okay, because, and I guess just to pull on that just a little bit more, what prevents Valvoline from doing, or once we rezone this, prevents it becoming an automotive repair shop? As I go to Winder and I see that BMW shop on the right-hand side, and you see all those stacked transmissions and car parts, because the zoning doesn't call out specifically, it says automotive services. So I guess what I would think is that we should consider is whether or not, if we approve this, that maybe we consider conditioning it to specifically quick lube, fast oil, whatever you want to call it. And if we can do that, I guess I don't know if that's permissible.
I don't know what Valvoline's business plan and what the scope of work they typically do at one of these is. I mean, that is something you could consider. I would probably advise to lean more towards conditions like prohibiting the storage of automotives for greater than 72 hours without moving there, so you don't end up with it looking like an open storage yard out there. If they're already doing oil changes, can they do tire changes? Can they plug tires? Can they change your cabin air filter? You do start drawing that line in some really funny places that I'm not even sure it would be practical to enforce if we drew them there. If you were looking to try to prevent something like that open storage yard that's out there on the way on 53 that you were referencing, I would lean more towards prohibiting long-term storage of automotives out there.
Absolutely.
So I'm not over here playing on my phone. I looked at the business up. It says that again, I go back to the key word that you said, which is you're in and out in about 15 minutes. And so the things that they have listed is battery replacement, headlight, tail light replacement, air conditioning, wiper blades, air filters, tire rotation, stuff like that. That's kind of that is the goal for that shop would be to be in and out in 15 minutes. So it had to be services that conduct within 15 minutes. Is that correct? Okay.
I've been to Valvoline a few times. I've never been in there longer than about 13 minutes.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess I'm on. So you've been in the retail development business how long?
2 years.
And in car washes and retail oil changes like this, how many people get out of their cars and go have lunch or go shop for groceries and come back and pick up their car?
In this case, I don't think anyone would get out of their car.
So your earlier statement about this would help bring people to the community and the retail shops around it, probably not going to happen with these two shops here.
I could see it happen, driving traffic and people coming to the Kroger to shop, and then, I could get an oil change, could get my car washed, and then, they just saw the restaurant just pop up and push it.
Okay. So considering that this development is likely to become town center for the city of Houston, based on just the number of spaces that you have there, and with the proposed traffic arrangement that's being designed to bring people from Highway 60 down to 53, then down Peachtree Road, this is an opportunity for us to have more of a town center strategy of higher end restaurants, retail, that sort of thing. And now we're going to put 2 C3 businesses that are going to have screaming vacuum cleaners, jet engine sounding blowers, and tire changes with air wrenches. How many people do you foresee buying the 3 locations across from these 2 stops to have open air restaurants at them, knowing you're not going to be able to communicate with the person you're trying to enjoy dinner or lunch with?
good point, but I don't think that they're far enough away from those parcels that I don't think it annoys them.
You don't think 60 feet? Because I can imagine the blowers to that area, to that car wash are gonna be 60 to 80 feet away from the 3 spots across where there might be an open-air restaurant. I can cut to the chase for this real quick if you want me to. So I was aware of somebody back in the fall last year that wanted to buy one of your spots over there. They wanted to put a large open-air space for restaurant dining with a sort of a Fazoli-style menu, but with beer and wine. And they hired a consulting firm to do a feasibility study on the restaurant, and then they, investment side, like Ace brought up, about owning the land and the building. I'm not gonna talk about feasibility, but there were 3 main concerns on the investment side of buying the land and building a $2 million building for the restaurant. Number one, the city of Houston for the last 12 years, has a history of spot zoning and ignoring its comprehensive plan. Number 3 was what the makeup of the city is gonna be like in terms of owned homes versus rental homes. And that's speculation in my book. The bottom line was, because of the history of the last 12 years of elected officials spot zoning things and not sticking to its comprehensive plan, they chose not to buy a piece of property there. And when they came to me and asked me about it, I'm not in the restaurant business and I'm not in the land speculation business. So I could tell them that yes, the elected officials have had a history of spot zoning things to benefit landowners and developers. And then here we sit 6 months later, and I'm going, had they bought that property, they very well could have been building a significant investment for that family's part. And now the city could be spot zoning 2 pieces of property to put loud noise automotive services right next to what would have been their dream restaurant. And so I'm asking you and all of your other developments, say in Columbia, South Carolina, how often did you put car washes and places that would be changing tires right across the street from restaurants?
Well, we've done quite a few developments where car wash, oil change, they want to be in shopping centers. And we have done quite a few oil change facilities, car washes in our developments, and we've never really received, bad feedback from restaurant users in those developments.
So what type restaurants are located across the street from these type of facilities?
Oh, we're working on that right now.
No, I'm talking your other developments. Like, can you
McDonald's,
show us photos or
QSRs,
pictures of
QSRs, fast food.
mostly fast food?
Yeah.
So from my perspective, if this is going to be our town center, where we expect to have high-end dining options, nice retail spaces, people walking along sidewalks, shopping and eating, and parking their car and spending time, do we really want a car wash and a tire changing place? I can tell you some people chose not to invest here because of that.
Right. I do have a question about the car wash, and I'm looking for the yeses, because I want to make sure we have, the city grows, and I'm more of managing growth than denying growth. So that's, I'm looking for success here. So to your point about the air dryers and the car wash, so I notice, and if the drawing is representative of what the plan is, and I'm assuming that it is, that the blowers are going to be at the end by the ponds, which back up to the townhomes that one of our council members lives in. And it's only a chain link fence back separating the property between the townhomes. So, and you know, the blowers make a lot of noise, but there's ways to, you know, manage that noise through sound dampening systems and stuff like that, fences, whatever. Would that be something that the developer would consider prior to it going in? I wouldn't want you to say, oh, we'll put the car wash in, and then if the homeowners in the townhomes complain, then we'll look at making something to reduce the sound.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be something we consider. I think you had mentioned that as well.
The buffering that I was really referencing was mostly screening of visual activities as opposed to sound and that kind of thing. But yeah, I did mention buffering on the lots because they are relatively close to those townhomes back there.
And I see JJ, this impacts you.
Creek,
And-
it's no different
and
than
Creek-
when we
no,
approved
I
it
got,
for
I got you.
Creekside.
I got
Yeah.
you. I got you. We have any more discussion?
I have no questions for him. I mean, we'll have discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have any more discussions or questions for the developer. Everybody good with the,
Can we still
with the,
get the
with,
public
with the developer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want?
We have a public comment.
Okay, please come back up.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
So, city councils, mayors, planning and zoning committees, they come and go every couple of years, whatever. People don't. Creekside doesn't. All of this, I know not by you personally, all of this was approved for Creekside 50 feet away from people's houses. No offense, JJ, 25 feet away from townhouses. I don't want his townhouse to deal with anything either, but why is it okay for this to be 50 feet and 25 feet away from Creekside? And our amenities, by the way, which are on the front of the neighborhood. So we have to sit at our pool all day and hear car washes and whatever else you guys think are going to go on over there. Why is it okay for us, but it's not okay for a Kroger shopping center? Are you serious? I mean, that's insane to me. On top of that, I can tell you, I can't speak for the developer. I don't know him, never met him. I've been to the Valvoline car washes before. There used to be one down there by Sam's Club on the Mall of Georgia. And all it was the tunnel wash, and the Valvoline was actually attached to the car wash. And if you get your oil changed, they give you a ticket for a free car wash. It was all one building. It's not like an auto shop where there's tires stacked up out back or anything like that. I used to frequent that every day when I lived down in Hamilton Mill. But again, my question to the whole group here, why is it okay for Creekside? Everything you mentioned, catastrophes, oil spills, noise, all this, why is it okay for Creekside then? But it's
Can I
not okay for
answer
Kroger.
I wasn't here then.
I was. So to Mr. Beck's concern, that was a spot zone piece of property in a downtown development authority setup of our city, specifically forbidden. Specifically, it's forbidden. And yet it was spot zoned by several council members who are friends of that landowner. So that's why it was good, but two wrongs don't make a right. That's the very reason this shouldn't be spot zoned. So this should not be spot zoned just because that piece of property was spot zoned. The elected officials should stick to our comprehensive plan and the ordinances that we have.
Okay, and with that, I think we can close public comment and have a discussion at the table here. Do you want to say something? Just, you have no comments? Any other additional, Scott?
The only thing I have additional is we're in the middle of starting our comprehensive plan. And I think the city, before they spot zone this, because it could be detrimental to bringing other higher end, retail establishments, whether they be restaurants or whatever, into that area, which is essentially between the city's new development on Peachtree Road and 53 and this, that's going to be town center. That's going to be our downtown. And so while the gentleman couldn't tell us, I read about a dozen articles and research papers on building town centers. And guess what? Not one of them showed in their downtown center area a car wash, nor an oil change place. So if we really want to have a downtown area that sets Houston apart maybe from other cities with some high-end dining, some good retail spots. We need to take the initiative to help make that happen. Not say, well, we had this great place and now it's full of noise and high-pitched screaming. That's just my belief, and, I would love to see this tabled until we have a comprehensive plan that hopefully a majority of our elected officials could stick to and not stop the spot zoning, stop the changing of ordinances just to fulfill, and nothing negative to Southeast Development, because I think y'all are a great company, but they've got investors that want a return on their money, and we've got a city that we want our people to be happy in and feel comfortable walking around the downtown area. That's my.
I just thought of another question for the developer, and I apologize. This particular Kroger model development is not unique. I believe I have been to Kroger shopping centers where there have been car washes. I can't think of an oil change, but I think I've seen them with car washes. Is that a true statement?
Yep.
Okay, so, and this has been a successful model for the
Yes.
development?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not doing something for the first time.
Ace, can I bring up one thing?
Yep.
Where were those Krogers? Were they in a town center area, or were they outside of downtowns?
I can't remember where I saw it.
Oh, I think the Kroger, the Gainesville Kroger, right, Limestone, up by where you're at, don't they have the oil change, and Sugarloaf Kroger has? Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yes, at Limestone Parkway in Gainesville, there is an oil change place at that.
And how
particular
far is that from downtown Gainesville?
It is a,
Significant number of miles.
Take, by car, which is how you're gonna have to get there, it's probably 10 to 12 minutes if you get lucky.
Yes. When I go to Gainesville and eat at downtown, guess what I don't hear while I'm eating outside? A car wash or tire wrenches going off. I get to enjoy the downtown experience of Gainesville without noise. So what I'm just saying, this is gonna be up to the elected officials. They've got to decide if they want to have a nice downtown Houston area or not.
Are we ever gonna be Gainesville?
Either way.
I mean, Gainesville has developed a wonderful downtown.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about it. But you wouldn't put a Kroger shopping center in the middle of Gainesville now. But how long do you wait for that plan to come together? How long do you leave it empty? How long do you, this is town center right here.
Yes, right now.
So, right now. Downtown Gainesville was town center from 50 years ago.
Here's all I'm asking.
Yeah,
Are you gonna put a nice restaurant right across the street?
I think, I wouldn't,
No.
but I would eat at one.
Okay.
So as I look at this site plan, and so there's 7 lots here. I can't imagine that in those 7 lots, you're gonna have 7 restaurants. It's gotta be a diverse business model. And I know you may not be at liberty to say who you're negotiating with at this point, but of the 5 other spots, are you looking at retail? You're looking at restaurants? Are you looking at fast food versus sit-down table? What is it you're looking at?
We're looking
And-
at it all.
I'm sorry?
Everything you just mentioned, we're looking at it all.
Whoever will pay rent.
My concern is not whether it's car wash, whether it's an oil change, whether it's anything else, is, our community has a master plan. And Gwinnett had a master plan. And Gwinnett deviated from that master plan all over the place. And that's why Gwinnett ended up the way it was. Forsyth County started to head down that road with the same thing, and they put a stop to it with all the, I just, anytime something deviates from the master plan when it comes to zoning, I get heartburn. Don't care if it's a car wash, don't care if it's oil change, don't care if it's a strip club. Well, maybe I do. But, that's my concern, is when we start deviating from the master plan, then why have one? if we're gonna deviate from it just because.
I agree.
And I don't have an answer either, so.
What I see when I look at this plan is, I don't see, I mean, I see a path coming down through here. Who's gonna walk that path? What will it look like from Highway 53 as people drive by? Are they gonna see the backs of buildings? Are they gonna face the Town Center Parkway there, or not Parkway, but the road inside the development? Are they gonna draw people in from 53? I mean, it just doesn't seem, and I realize this is just a site plan, it's not fully developed, you know, for the businesses that you're going to have here, because you don't have them yet. But is this a place where people will park their car and get out and walk from one place to another? Or get in their car and go to one place, and then get in their car and go 2 doors down because of the size of these parcels? You know, will there be multiple businesses in each parcel? And are we gonna rezone for every parcel?
Well, I'm of the understanding that, the city of Houston does not want C3 along Highway 53.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine every user that's along Highway 53 will be a retail, restaurant, whatever is under the C2 use. As it relates to walkability, I believe we're gonna have a sidewalk right there. I mean, yes, if someone was to purchase, let's say, this lot right here,
Mhm.
and it's a single tenant user,
Mhm.
there are restrictions within the shopping center on how big of a building they can build, and more than likely, they're gonna sell part of that parcel, their parcel.
Of course, yeah, that's what I'm saying too, yeah.
I think there's great opportunity for walkability in this development. I don't think you're gonna, say you park on one parcel, and you wanna go next door, I don't think that's gonna be an issue, or you're gonna have to hop back in your car, to go 2 parcels over.
Will there be interconnectivity between the lots and the parking lots, or will they have to go out to the street, go 100 feet and turn back into another parking lot? Will there be cuts?
Trevor can, speak more on that.
Okay, thank you.
For access in between the lots, there are access easements along the property line.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those users do have the flexibility to transfer within the lots themselves. And
So it's not mandated, it's just an option.
correct. They
But is
do-
that just for infrastructure, or is that for pedestrians, or?
This would be for vehicular traffic. Both frontages of this lot will have sidewalks, and there is an option for the developer of those lots to provide sidewalks if they wish.
Right, well, I understand that you're trying to maximize the potential of income with your site plan. I understand that. I'm just thinking, like when we have our walk through Houston, you know, and we walk to all these different places, we can do that. It's not always real convenient, but, you know, it's a nice walk and all. But, for a single piece of property, it would be nice to have some sort of place to sit down. That's just a bench, you know, or a group of benches, or some focal point, or something that everyone surrounds, or. I don't know.
On our plan, excuse me, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. On the plan we're looking at, the one that says shops, it's blank up there, but on ours here, it looks pretty, planned out, shops, parking, so on. What is that gonna be?
It's just a multi-tenant building.
Multi-tenant building? That, but it's done, your tenants are,
We're about to
Identified.
begin construction on that building, yes.
all right. And what are those gonna be?
I
More or
can't
less.
quite say yet. We're at the end of some lease negotiations.
Okay, but in general, like,
Small shop space, so, you know, the building's only 5,600 square feet.
Yeah.
So your inline tenants, just small shop space.
Small
There may be a restaurant.
restaurants,
Yeah, there may be.
nail places, the usual.
Dry cleaners. Yeah. But up next to Kroger, I could see that. Is
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
the rest of this, that's.
Mhm.
And,
This
and
is
the,
our
and the shops
downtown
part is
center.
a
No,
single
I got you.
level, right?
Yeah.
Shops is single level, the building up there that says shops.
You're talking about the shops,
Yeah, we're right across from Kroger, up there
directly
in the
across?
parking area.
Oh, is it, on the two outlots in front? Or is it right next to the pharmacy drive-thru?
It's
Yeah,
hard to
it's
tell.
hard
from
to
this.
tell.
Yeah,
It's
that's
so
the
tiny.
multi-tenant building.
It's right next to one of the lots, lot
Yes.
number, 12.
It's right next to the Kroger. It's a separate building
Yeah,
Right.
next to the pharmacy
Right.
drive-thru line. It's, just a little multi-tenant retail shop.
okay, so you will own the buildings, that means you are going to design, is RLR designing the buildings too?
Well,
No.
our,
Okay,
RLR,
you're just
civil
doing, you're
engineer.
just the engineering, okay. I mean, will the buildings, I don't know, look like more, like a town, a downtown? Or, right, the elevations of the buildings, I mean, will,
Single
it
story.
will just
Yeah, it's
just
just
be
one
some
story.
different
Yeah.
heights,
20
different
Yeah.
widths, different, I mean, that would be great, but I don't know if you can do it with this divided parcel
Yeah.
layout.
Yeah.
We're about to begin construction.
Oh,
Okay.
thanks.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Do you know how many, employment opportunities the car wash and the quick oil change will bring to us? Not including management, because I know they tend to come from outside, but I'm looking for local employment opportunities. If you don't know, that's fine. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I'd imagine,
Okay.
I'd imagine so. I hope so.
No, I was just looking for like a number. We were talking 20, 30 jobs or something like that. I was just curious. The only other thing, one of the other things that just comes to mind as I've been to city council meetings and we develop our city and the city's investment in the commons, are we setting ourselves up for failure in that building? And that comes to mind if as we do this project, because that's I know it's a substantial investment the city made in that building to develop it as a common area, which I think is great. And I don't know what kind of impact that's going to have. I don't want it to be a white elephant. And I don't know if we can avoid it, and we may not be able to do anything about it at this point.
The one right next door.
The one next to Slice.
Oh, you mean Larry's Garage?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were talking
No,
Kroger.
no,
I didn't
no.
even know we were on Larry's Garage.
Yeah.
I was just like, how'd that?
Commons, isn't that the right name for it? Are we calling it the Commons? Oh, the garden, sorry, the garden. The garden. Larry's Garage.
Yeah. See, I was always under the thought that was gonna be the town center, and that was gonna be the whole, and combined with this, all working together. Not out by Kroger, but maybe I'm missing something.
Well, since City Hall and everything's gonna be up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorta.
But this would be converted into shops and area, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I guess I just had a different picture in mind than this, a place, different than this. But
Any more comments from the board? Is there a motion of any? Does anybody want to put forth a motion? Approval, disapproval, table? I don't see anybody putting forward a motion at this time.
Since it seems to be real quiet, I'll make a motion to deny.
We have a motion to deny. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. All those in favor of denying the applicant? I see 2 in favor. All those opposed? I see 3 opposed. You're going to abstain, Chuck?
Yeah.
And 1 abstention.
Conflict, but it's not that. All right, then let's vote again.
Okay.
Yeah, this one fails because you only had, 2 and all, so somebody else make a motion on the table.
So I'll make a motion to deny again.
Is there a
That one fails,
Right, to accept.
so does anybody have another motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
Okay. All those in favor of approval? All those opposed? We are deadlocked.
Well,
Now what?
So, now, I'll make a motion to table.
There's a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of tabling this?
All right.
All those opposed? That stands.
And table to the next scheduled meeting?
All right. So, other business. Is there any, I have something, but I don't know if anybody else is. So as I go through the city's ordinances and stuff, I find some, things that I would like some clarity on, and I'd like for the Planning and Zoning Commission to recommend to the City Council that, in the zoning and ordinance table, -43 on page 28, where it talks about, temporary, containers, there are no time limits or definitions of temporary for shipping containers, with the exception of, moving in and out. There's a 32-day limit for temporary storage containers. I would like for the Planning and Zoning Commission to recommend that we include a 90-day limit to temporary containers. And I can tell you why I think that's a good idea, but I don't know if there's any comment.
Is that for all properties, Ace? And I'm gonna tell you the reason I'm asking, because I hate when people get loaded questions.
Yeah.
I'm aware of a residential house that's got one of those things, and it's been sitting there for at least a year. And I don't know, I mean, it's in a large lot subdivision, but you can see it from the street.
I believe that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it applies to any temporary, 6-sided temporary container within the city.
Let me address just 2 things right here. On the temporary intermodal containers, which is commonly called like shipping containers.
Connex.
That is, in section 6.80, item 2 is that the container shall not remain longer than 32 days. I will have to look specifically to see what the permitted use table says in residential zoning districts. I just don't have that off the top of my head, and I was trying to get to that section before I got to your question, but if you'll give me just a second, I'll take a look.
I was just gonna say, I would like it to be across all zoned areas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, in reference to what we're talking about tonight, our item tonight, connexes are all over construction sites. Would they be allowed, to be longer? 'Cause
Well, I
they're
think
needed.
I had this discussion a while back, and I understand why shipping containers are needed at construction sites,
Mhm.
because there's no buildings there. They gotta store all their equipment.
Right.
But I can't envision them leaving them, once they move out. Because somebody's gotta own them, they cost money, so they're not leaving them there. And, you know, and I know that the hardware store is a landmark in this town. I understand that. But as I drive past that every day and I see that container out front there, you know, it's like, well, the rule's been on the books for a while, says temporary, but, you know, Noah was here a long time ago, that was temporarily, and that shipping container has been out in front of that hardware store forever. So I just want to nail it down, whatever temporary is, you know, and I think 90 days is good. If it's a seasonal thing, like you're selling pine straw and you got to bring in a trailer load, I understand that. But to leave it there year-round or anywhere on the highway bothers me. And I just like for the city and the city council to just nail that definition down. What is temporary and what's it mean?
But we would not, I mean, when you say all, I was just telling Hugh, you know, we have a shipping container at the plant. You would never know. So maybe we should do it, maybe we should recommend to the council something with our words, how we say it without saying, maybe like the industrial area, you know, we just have to say we just have to kind of critique those wordings.
I mean, if we want to look at amending that section of the zoning ordinance, that's absolutely something we could do. And at that time, like when we've all had a chance to look at it, we can look at maybe specifying certain areas where they would be permitted.
Yeah.
If they're behind a building, inside a fence, are they allowed? If they're right out in front of your building, are they not allowed? Specific things like that. Shipping containers are permitted uses in residential areas, but they would still have the 32-day limit. And then on the construction sites, those are generally like construction field offices.
Very.
Well, right, their offices and storage and
and that kind
materials
of thing.
and,
Yeah, and those make sense.
Yeah, so they're typically through the period of
Of
construction.
construction, right.
So when you say that the city has a shipping container that I wasn't aware of, it begs the question, why do we still have it? If we need that storage space, why hasn't we built something
Well,
to?
we are building something, which is our expansion to the plant, but that's 3, 4, 5 years out. It's so much cheaper to buy a storage container versus a building, constructing a building that you would have to tear down. So I would much rather spend $2,000 than, you know, $15,000, $20,000 on something that can't be a permanent structure. But you never knew it was there.
And you're right.
That's my.
And you're right, and I understand that. Again, I think one of the things, and could be wrong, but I think when the city council put our board together, one of the things they wanted us to do is to look forward as the city grows. And as the city grows, we want to make sure that it's aesthetically pleasing to everybody as they go through 53. You know.
Yeah, and that makes sense. On 53, I agree with that. But when you're often on the beaten path that you would never know about, I think we could critique those words.
And I don't think we need to have just the full discussion on defining temporary and defining shipping containers here. That's probably more appropriate as like a full agenda item.
Mm-hmm.
We could even have discussion about it next month, but I don't think we're going to come to a solution on it tonight.
And I think, to Jennifer's comment, it's cheaper to put one of those in. And I tend to look at things from the business perspective, that if a gentleman's business or lady's business has grown, and the cost to build an extra 500 square feet onto their current building, or maybe their current building just doesn't have the capacity to expand, maybe there could be a permit fee that allows you to have a pine straw trailer or something else that's relevant to your business, that you could pay as the business grows and you're in that transition zone between, I don't want to spend $50,000 to add another 100 square. Do you see what I'm saying, Ace? Maybe there's some room for discussion, as Hugh said, but maybe we should bring some ideas to this next month and chat about it.
Yeah, again, I just wanted to define temporary. That's all I want to do, is just define temporary.
And the staff will do some research on what other municipalities do in their codes, and we can bring back that as well back next month.
Thank you. Is there Anybody else have any, open business, other business? Nope, and, okay. So,
Motion to adjourn?
is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn
Is there a
tonight's meeting.
second? Second? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes.
I wonder what we do if somebody did oppose of adjournment. We just keep staying here.